which is how we're going to learn a bit. Okay, so these are fresh out of the thing, and for a start I can see that that rope's in the right place. There's no rope in there, and there should be. So we'll find out why and what someone's done with it, which is a good way to learn. So this one's got a standard sail on. Undercroft number 1 has 6 club lasers. Undercroft number 2 has 3. There are 9 club lasers. They should have LCSC on the back, and that's quite important so that you don't nick somebody's personal laser. Okay. They also should have, when you go fast, a stripe that runs all the way round and saves me having to fix the bloody things when you smash them into the pontoon. So all the club lasers, they're not always going to stay on. You might have to squeeze these bits back on. They do pull off a bit, but they do save. You can see this one is bubbling out a bit. So club lasers got LCSC on. Only use those. In Undercroft number 2, as you go in on the left, and you can have a little look later, you've got a whole table full of sails. 3 different sizes. That's a standard. Unfortunately, the ceiling's fallen down on them, and they're all a bit wet. They're trying to dry them out. How do we know what's a standard sail? It says something like 3.8 usually on the very bottom. There. Which is not really helping very much, because 3.8 sounds like the smallest. That's a radial, and it's got a blue patch on. That's the next size down. Anything with a blue patch on is a radial. And sometimes there is no number on there. But just to really confuse you, there's a smaller sail as well, a 4.7. It sounds like it's bigger than the 3.8, it does, but obviously it's not. And they've got 4.7 written right across the sail. Now, the only difference between the size of the sail is this bottom section is hidden underneath here. Can you grab that pen for a moment? Just hold on to it sitting forward. So that's a radial bottom section. It does say radial on it, luckily. Someone want to pull that bottom section off there? Just stand it on the ground, and you'll see that Matt puts his hand up on it. Right, I can just touch the top of the radial section like that. And that one, Matty boy's a bit taller than me, but he won't be able to reach the top of the standard section. So the only difference between the sails, the boat's radial or standard, is this bottom section, and the sail, of course. Okay, so you can interchange those in Undercroft number 2, where the sails are, on your tight in on the left. You've got 3 different size bottom sections. If you need to change it, I mean, today we're obviously going to go out with a standard sail, even beginners today on this wind. Last week we had we were gusting about 15 to 20 knots. I took a radial out because I'd had a big hangover. So don't be scared to take a radial out. It doesn't look smaller than the rest of them. Well, it is smaller than the rest, but don't worry about that. Much easier when you're a beginner to take a radial out in a big wind. Okay? Even all the best sailors take radials out. I think Martini sails lasers brilliantly. You can take a radial out all the time and then drop to a 4.7. What do you usually use, Mercedes?
I haven't sailed laser before.
You're about to find out.
Radio.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the radial. Let's rig the big standard to start with. So we get our, flip that right out, open that right out for me if you don't mind. If you have a little look at the bottom corner there, where Jeremy is, so Jeremy's right hand there, he's got his right hand on the clue. And in his right hand he's got a clue tie on it. Make sure your sail's got one of those on, okay, because that's going to tie to the boom. If it doesn't, steal one off another sail and put it on just like that. Show them how that goes on there. Just have an interest with the radial as well. So really that is just pushed through a loop. So if you've got to steal one off another sail, it doesn't matter how it goes on as long as you've got it pulled through that loop. It doesn't matter in what length either of these are. It will do up around the boom, and I can see already that someone has tied this up in knots, and that's not going to work. So that's a dodgy one to start with. I'll show you why in a minute. That's certainly not long enough. That extra knot and that extra knot has blown that one working. Is there one on there? Open that sail up for us, have a little look. Quite often there are on the ladies who find one. Try the other end, the other corner, Mercedes.
Yeah.
So you've got actually got the wrong corner there. Just have a look at it. If not, we're going to get a couple anyway. These are probably privately owned, and they do it in a different way. Right, we're going to nick one in a minute. Right, so putting the mast together, reasonably simple. This bottom section shouldn't really come away from the boat. It should be tied on. Someone's de-rigged this badly and wrongly. That should actually be tied on via that, and that should be through there, and that should be quite tight. Somebody's undone the handle, but that's not too much of a problem. What else have we got here? So basically separate everything out, make sure nothing's too tangled, because in a minute that's going to go in there. Just pull all your things to one side. So if we put the end in, Ben, bottom section meets top section, and there is a specific way to do it. Let's have a little look. Have you got any arrows or anything on that, Ben, at all?
No.
On that section, so you've got an arrow on there,
Arrow on the top,
but nothing on this one. Okay, so that's going to confuse everyone. The idea is if you have a little look at the rivet that Ben's can show you with the arrow, they should line up with this. Okay, that rivet there should have been an arrow on the bottom section. I haven't seen one without an arrow on before, that's interesting. But that rivet has to line up with that because that's the weak point. And were it round the other way, it can break. So have that rivet lined up with that kicker section here. Right, anybody want to put that sail on? Anybody got the idea how to put it on? Grab the end and the pocket, and as you're doing that, again, you need to line something up. So let's see if they line it up correctly. Alright. How are we looking at lining that up? Sorry. Yeah, so
isn't the rivet on the same thing?
Yeah, that rivet should line up with the arrow.
Oh, with the arrow.
And also this.
Right, thanks.
So what Maggie's doing is absolutely correct, bringing the seam down also in line with this. Okay?
Yeah.
So that is important. That seam of that pocket is also lined up down that way. If you get that the wrong way round, obviously, when you put this up in a moment, we'll show you why. So the next thing is to lift it up, and Jeremy's going to lift it up for me. Lift it up for me, because I've got to dodge that door. Right, Matty, can you do that on your own?
Wow.
There you go. Once you get it up in the air, it's easy to do that and that. It's just like that first little bit. So, are we lined up with the wind? Where's our wind? There isn't any. Are we going to ignore the wind? It should be coming this way. So. But now it's coming down that street. So we could probably have to spin this around a little bit into the breeze. So next thing, we need a boom. This is the outhaul, and it should always be tied in and rigged. The club boats, and I've got other expert sailors watching me now. They're all going to say, no, you don't do it like that. We don't do it like that. Everyone's got their own little idiosyncrasies on how to rig a laser. Michael will be cutting bits off this in a minute and shortening things. But the club lasers all should go together only in one way. And there should be only one knot to tie. Right, so what have we got here? That should be in there, and normally this one should be through here. You shouldn't have to undo any of these. So we'll tell you what they are in a minute. This is the only thing you should have to tie on a club laser. Let's pull that sail back and see if we can get the outhaul in there.
Well, that's it, you just take this to hold the boom in.
Yeah, I've just put the boom into that hole there. It's called the gooseneck. So they're taking that back up there. What will you find anything? Okay, it's got a hook, and if we pull on the outhaul, that should take it to the back of the sail. So that's your outhaul there. It should actually be tied up like this. Make a little loop. pull that through. Got a loop, pull it through. Loop, pull it through, and you can make yourself a handle. We'll teach you how to do that in a minute if you really want to learn it. And everyone, again, wants them at different lengths. I quite like long ropes. They will end up flowing in the water a bit, but sometimes I will actually tie this to here, which I'll show you in a minute. So your out haul and your down haul are already threaded, okay, on the club boats. You shouldn't need to de-rig them. This is the only thing that you will have to tie as a knot. So, as you can see, if it's on that side of the boat, we want to come through this side of the sail. We'll come down, and again, sometimes these are all different lengths. All I do is I tie one little loop around there. I'll go round, turn, and 2/2 hitches. Just check I've got that right. Let's come that side of there. Okay. I'll do a round turn and 2/2 hitches if I've got the length, and I will warn you that not all of them have got the right length. Again, this is probably done up a bit too tight. Can you undo that one? But really, I'm going round once, and then even one hitch would do with a knot in it. I'll put 2 in this one because we've got the length. Not all of them have the length. You all right with a round turn and 2/2 hitches? The important thing is to get one good wrap, because the friction on there now will stop anything happening to that. Ben has just undone my handle a bit. Ideally, this block here will be right up tight to there. So I would have tied that up a little bit tighter. Give that a little tug, Ben. A little pull. So there's your down haul, there's your up haul. All simply there, ready to go. Happy with that? Simply rigging for now. We won't get into exactly what we do. So we got one more thing here. This is our kicker. And it should be, you've got to have a little look at it. Make sure everything's not wrapped up too much. But that's going to go into there. So quite often you're going to have to pull a few little ropes through and make it longer, just like that, to get it into the bottom of the boom there. Pull that down, and that's your kicker. So basically, all you're doing is tying one knot and putting that in there. Once you've got the sail on, and that's how the club lasers should be rigged, and they should be left that way. That little pull again, Ben. Hang on, what's going on with this out? Oh, that's the main sheet. Don't worry.
What do you do with the bit of rope on that clip?
Any questions so far? So the little bit of rope on the clue. I'll show you in a moment.
Which was the one that you tied the knot on?
It's the down haul.
Down haul.
Yeah, so we can undo this again now. Probably if we loosen this off. Good.
Down.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's the down haul there, and it's just the one that goes through the eye at the bottom there. Pretty simple. You'll find that people will leave them in different ways. They'll undo all this, they'll take it all apart, and it'll be a mess when you come to get it a lot of the time in the club lasers. But if at least you lot now rig them properly and leave them properly, we'll be fine. So, moving on to the back here. This was the question, wasn't it? We put this back in. This is called what we call a clue tie. And it should just wrap. Does somebody put a view on it for me? Right. So.
I just looped it on. I might have looped it on incorrectly.
Yeah, that's all right. That's fine, because it is incorrect because it has to be a certain length. So it's quite good that you did do that. So ideally, I'm putting this loop through, and then putting that through there. We should have done it with it loose. Can somebody loosen the out haul off for me? Lovely. So that goes on there, and it should be underneath. So we should have done this really before we put that in. So we'll take it off again. I'll show you again. So it just is simply, they should all be the right length. If somebody's not done the knots up, all we're doing is putting that through there like that, and that will now be the right length to go around the boom. And quite important to make sure this is underneath the out haul, not over the top of this red rope. So it's only wrapping round the boom. And if I've done my job properly, there's a knot and a loop. And that knot just pulls through that loop, and that will then hold it on there and hold it on tight. So that's a little bit long, this one. That one actually probably does need, it should be tighter down to the boom. So it probably does need another knot in here. We'll try that out, do it properly. Now, I'm probably making it too short by doing this little knot in it. We'll see. Let's try that one more time. There we go, so just the knot through the loop will hold it tight to the boom. And quite important, the reason we do this way, I mean, they'll all have, you have a little look at what's going on behind. Brilliant example. So have a look at what he's doing with his. So that's the fancy Velcro strap way of doing it, which will cost you about 12 quid for a piece of Velcro, whereas that's free and just as good. The other thing about this is, if you're coming in a bloody big gale and you need to get this off in a hurry because the wind's behind you and you can't land on the pontoon, it's sailing you away from it. That's really quick and easy to undo. Whereas that, so once you take that off and that off, that sail is then free and you're out the shit. Whereas he's going to catch ice because it'll take him 10 minutes to try and get that Velcro loop on. That's why we do it that way. Okay? So that's your clue tie. Don't open that back on for me. Anyone? Underneath the outboard.
Are you boarded?
Nice breeze out there now, guys.
Just a little help, not in the loop.
Not through the loop and pull yet. Quite often in a wind, of course, you're going to need a hand on that. And then get your outboard in there. Okay, guys, I'll show you the rudder and the centre boards and things in a minute. But for now, I want all of you to just rig that laser there, the radial. Just between you, all have a little look, talk to each other.